Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
You know how we were talking about Kanye West on the show the other day? Did you see what's happening with him now? Like, he's rolling around with all those bodyguards. Did you catch this?
I don't know that we want to talk about this. It's kind of a hot topic right now.
Like, there's gang violence he's being threatened with gang violence right now, and he's rolling with a bunch of bodyguards. Did you see this?
Oh, wow. I'm guessing you haven't seen the latest with Kanye West. It's not good. Hang on one second. I just sent you an email. So apparently, he made some comment.
Yeah. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Kanye West says slavery was a choice. How did I miss this?
I don't know, and I think we might want to continue to miss it, to be honest with you. It's people are very upset about this.
Yeah, you know what? We can talk about anything on this show. We can talk about anything on this show. So hold on. We've got the audio from TMZ Live. I guess Kanye West appeared on TMZ Live to talk up his love affair with President Trump, but he also, I guess, has an interesting take on slavery. Let's have a listen here. I'm probably the only person on earth that hasn't heard this yet, right?
I heard it, and it was uncomfortable.
It's a weird thing about being on the radio. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing about being on the radio. Like, at the end of the day, this is one of the 5 to 6 shows I do every single day. And you're kind of supposed to be absorbing what's going on in the world and, you know, putting that into the show or whatever show it is you're doing. And sometimes I'm doing so many shows, I've got no idea what's going on in the world. Let's all just play catch up together.
I just love Trump. That's my boy. Like, it's like so many rappers. You'll look at a video of Snoop Dogg loving Trump, but then he get in the office and now they don't love him. Like, Trump is one of rap's favorite people, right?
But we talk about this, that before he was elected president, people in hip hop, it was an in thing to put Donald Trump in your rhyme somewhere.
Do you remember, what was that kid, Mac Miller?
Yeah, Mac Miller, yeah.
His big hit was called Donald Trump, and it was sort of like, he talked about the aspirational nature of a rapper and like it to being Donald Trump or something. It was a great song. It did really well for him. And they're absolutely right. For a while, Donald Trump was hip hop's best friend. There's a video of Donald Trump Donald Trump is in the video for Reverend Run from Run DMC. My Mind Is on the Road. He's in it. Like, it was the big cameo appearance, but they are totally right. Like, up until the point where he was in office, Donald Trump was somebody that the hip hop community looked upon very fondly. I mean, look, there's an aspirational and a self-proclaiming nature to hip hop where you say, I'm going to be the greatest. I am the greatest. And, well, for that reason, folks that do that for a living can kind of relate to how Donald Trump went through life before he got into office. But hold on.
And by the way, I am in hip hop, but I'm not just in hip hop. I'm a black person in the black community, but I'm not just that. I feel like one thing is people try to minimize me to artists, hip hop, black community. Yeah, I'm always going to represent that, but I also represent the world. When you hear about slavery for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, and you say people are mad about this because I completely understand. Let's just see where he goes with this one.
Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? It's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and white.
I 100% understand why people are unbelievably upset about what he said, saying that slavery was a choice. I think I see where he was going with this. It came out in a wildly unfortunate way, and I am in no way apologizing for what he said. It's not my business to apologize for what Kanye West says. Anyway, and I'm in no way minimizing he's got too big of a voice to say things like that. There's times where you really want to say something effectively. And you know what you do in those situations? You write it down and you go, is this getting my point across in the way that I want to get my point across? I do it on the radio. There's times where it's okay shooting from the hip. And there's times where you go, I don't want to be misunderstood. I don't want anything taken out of context. I want to be crystal freaking clear. That is when you bullet point some notes so you write it down so it comes out the right way. And look, what he said, slavery was a choice, that is inherently unbelievably short-sighted and wildly offensive to so many people on so many different levels. But the idea of mental slavery and a mental prison, I'm going to tell you why I think he had a point with this next.
Real radio.
104.1. Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So, as Travis pointed out to me, I was like, hey, we should talk about Kanye West. He was like, this is a tough one, difficult subject. And I was like, what do you mean? I missed the fact that Kanye West went on TMZ the other day and said he thinks slavery was a choice. Kanye West appeared on TMZ Live to talk up his love affair with Donald Trump, talk about why he supports Donald Trump, but he let slip an interesting take on the idea of slavery. Have a listen in case you missed it.
You hear about slavery for 400 years? For 400 years? That sounds like a choice.
Okay. Unbelievably poor choice of words on his part. And I don't know if he actually believes it was a choice, because listen to what he says next.
Like, you was there for 400 years and it's all of y'all? You know, like, it's like we're mentally in prison. I like the word prison because slavery goes too direct to the idea of blacks. It's like...
All right, I'm going to translate a little bit here. He was saying all of these people were enslaved. There were so many more of them, and they vastly outnumbered their captors. This is more like mental slavery because they could have taken their power back at any point, I think is the point he's trying to make. Does that sound right to you, Travis?
I think that's the only rational point that he could be making, and I agree. When I heard it, the more I thought about it, I came to the same conclusion that has to be the only point he could be making.
And then he said, I don't like that. He's like, I like the word imprison because, or I like prison better than slavery because slavery speaks directly to a black person's experience. When we talk about imprisonment, he said that encapsulates the experience of black people and Jewish people and anyone that's ever been sort of enslaved in that way. Let's see where he goes with this one.
Slavery, Holocaust Jews, slavery is blacks. So prison is something that unites us as one race, blacks and whites being one race. That we're the human race.
Okay, I don't think his brain caught up with his mouth at that point, but okay, obviously slavery was not a choice, and it's wildly short-sighted to say that. But I think he hit on something very important. Look, after 9/11, when I lived in New York City and I got on a plane flying out of LaGuardia or JFK, nobody was scared of a hijacker because we knew if and when someone got up at the front of the plane and said, we're hijacking this plane or we're taking you prisoner or taking you hostage, every single person on that plane had the steely resolve of, oh, no, you're not. There's hundreds of us and you can try it, but at the very least, we're going to kill you and you will fail. This was the mindset of people in New York, and with good reason. And you absolutely understand how this happened. But there was a very real idea of numbers there, and that's the power of terror. That's the power, I think, of. Look, Bob Marley said, "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery," and I think that's sort of what Kanye West is getting at. South Africa. Look at South Africa. Black people in South Africa vastly outnumbered white people, yet they were subjugated for years and years and years. When they easily could have said, there's way more of us than there are of you. We're just going to not have this anymore. We're going to rise up and we're going to take our power back. That could have happened, but it didn't. And there's all sorts of theories as to why that didn't happen, but ultimately it was mental conditioning and acceptance of this slavery. And if you enslave a bunch of folks and their children are born into slavery and so on and so forth, well, that idea of mental slavery that Kanye West is pointing out is very real. And it's a great lesson for all of us, because, and I'm trying to get something positive out of this, and I really think there is something there, because mental conditioning, if it can enslave entire peoples, it can hold you down from doing the things that you want to do, becoming the things that you want to become. I think what Kanye, and it's really too bad, because it's wrapped up in a whole lot of confusion and weirdness and all sorts of stuff. But I think Kanye West makes a very valid point. Saying that slavery was a choice was wrong, but saying that people were mentally enslaved, I believe, is absolutely 100% correct. And it's something we should all be aware of, because we could mentally enslave ourselves without even realizing it. He's talking about conditioning and breaking conditioning of racism and breaking conditioning of acceptance of racism. And that's an unbelievably powerful thing, because if this conditioning hadn't existed, people would have realized time and time again, and I know it's not that simple, but people would have realized time and time again, whether it's a plane hijacking or whether it's apartheid in South Africa, that so much of what holds you down or keeps you in fear or holds you back is in your mind. And Kanye is actually, I think, making a very valid point about conquering the fear in your mind. Unfortunately, I think he was sort of terrified when he was saying this, so it didn't necessarily come out in the most artful way. He said, let's see. He said he didn't want people like TMZ fat shaming him like they did his brother-in-law, Robert Kardashian. He told the TMZ staffers, "I had plastic surgery because I was trying to look good for you guys." Interesting. Huh. Boy, he covered a lot of ground. But the bottom line, I think for me, is this. He made a very important point that a lot of people are missing, because he said something tremendously unfortunate that I know he didn't mean in the way it came out. But the bottom line is the power of the mind is a tremendous thing, and it's been used against humanity throughout the ages. And it's time that we make that stop. Money making, skills on the mic, keep me paid every day, and I'm part of the battle, just bow down, better act like you know.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah.
So, we've been talking a little bit about Kanye West. Kanye West floated this novel idea that slavery was a choice on an interview with TMZ Live the other day. Now, that was an unbelievably poor choice of words, and if you're just joining us, there is value, I think, in some of the things that Kanye was trying to say. Saying slavery was a choice was absolutely 100 million% wrong. And it was hideously unfortunate that he didn't think out what he was going to say before he said it. But it's even more unfortunate in that it obscured something very important that he said, where he talked about the idea of mental imprisonment, mental slavery. And there is this mental conditioning that exists, and it's used to control masses. It's how the few can control the many. It's a terrorist on a plane. It's a shooter in a public place. We've seen over and over again in these situations with the shooters that they could be overwhelmed. But somebody, maybe multiple people, will probably lose their lives in the process. And people lose sight of that. People lose sight of the numbers. because terror is a form of mental imprisonment. It freezes you. It locks you up from doing the things that you know are possible, I suppose. There's the idea of any kind of conditioning. Everybody will always talk about conditioning and how your mental state will lead the rest of your life. There's all these personal trainer-y types trying to get a piece of your money, and the vast majority of their spiels have something to do with how being out of shape is a mental thing. You've got to condition yourself mentally that you're an in-shape person, and then the rest will follow. And it sounds hokey, but so much of that is true. So much of it is mindset. So much of it is not accepting what life hands you. So much of life and getting where you want to go and being the type of person that you want to be has to do with where you're at mentally and being able to break free of the conditioning of a lifetime. And I think that's a big part of the point that Kanye West was trying to make. And it was obscured by the fact that he said slavery was a choice. And, well, there was a TMZ staffer there that beautifully articulated why it was so incredibly hurtful that Kanye would suggest slavery was a choice.
It's because, Kanye, you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to believe whatever you want. But there is fact and real world, real life consequence behind everything that you just said. And while you are making music and being an artist and living the life that you've earned by being a genius, the rest of us in society have to deal with these threats to our lives. We have to deal with the marginalization that has come from the 400 years of slavery that you said for our people was a choice.
There you go. It's powerful stuff. TMZ is usually laughy. I wonder if TMZ is going to get all serious now, because this is some sort of real stuff. There was real drama up in TMZ the other day, and usually they're just like, hey, look who got a boob job. It was definitely a change of pace, wasn't it?
I don't see it sticking around that way. Just because it's TMZ, and don't get me wrong, I have about as much respect for TMZ as I have for Kanye West, and I expect about the same amount of intelligence out of the two of them. But TMZ is TMZ. I think they got lucky with this one in the sense that they came out on top looking like the good guys instead of coming out looking like the paparazzi. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like so much of the Kardashian / Kanye West / reality television empire, like the massive amount of money that whole thing generates, is wrapped up in TMZ and whether or not you're being photographed or filmed or interviewed by TMZ. So in a way, Kanye West and his family have been in business with TMZ for a very long time. So I understand why he might go to the TMZ offices going like, let's just hash this all out. It's going to be great. This is a safe space. We make money off of each other like gangbusters. And, well, he just did not think it through when it came out of his mouth. And that was, like I said, really unfortunate, because the one hideously awful thing he said obscured something that to me was very, very wise about breaking your mental conditioning. All right, Travis, let's change gears for a second and ask whether or not you post a selfie. Well, we're talking about Kardashian selfies and things of that nature. Do you post selfies on the interwebs?
The only social media I do is the Instagrammies. And yeah, I have no issue with the selfie. It's kind of a rarity that I post a selfie. It's not a daily thing. It's probably not a weekly thing, but like if I am posting a selfie, I try and make it something like goofy and funny. Like I don't do too much serious stuff on my Instagram, but yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I don't think it's too stupid.
I mean, I think you hit on something interesting there. The daily selfie. I got a lot of ways I describe people who post daily selfies, but mentally healthy is not one of them. However, apparently, posting a daily selfie is excellent for your mental health, and we'll discuss why a little later on in the show. Also, I thought we would talk about, look, Kanye West offended a lot of people. And with good reason. It's an incredibly hurtful thing to hear somebody suggest the idea of slavery was in any way, shape, or form a choice. But I did think it would be interesting to take a look at some things that you, me, all of us say every single day that have tremendously offensive origins.
Oh.
And we'll get into this.
Oh, no.
We are really skating the line today, aren't we, Travis? We're walking right up to it.
Yeah, I don't like it. I'm going to tell you right now, yeah. I don't like it.
Look, whether or not you care if people get offended by stuff you say is up to you. And as anyone who calls you out on these particular terms might be pushing it, but there are these everyday terms you probably didn't know had wildly offensive origins, and we will discuss what those are a little later on in the show. Right now, though, let's do we want to talk about the fact that Kanye West is sort of he's having to roll deep with security guards because the Crips have been urged to, and I quote, F him up.
It was the safer of the two topics that we hit on, and we did not go down that avenue. It seems like we might as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, Kanye West, if you see pictures of him over the last couple of days, he's got a massive entourage and lots of security guards. And this may be related to a gang threat recently brought against him. This past Sunday, just gone by, Daz Dillinger, who I guess is Snoop Dogg's cousin, he posted a video on Instagram calling on the Crips, the Crips, to pay Kanye West a visit, saying, "Yo, national alert, all the Crips out there, y'all F Kanye up. You see that blankety blanker, blank his ass up."
Oh, wow.
On GP, which means on general principle.
Oh,
it's crazy, absolute insanity. I'm like, it's one of those weird moments I had where I was just like, what the hell is going on? You know, like Kanye and Trump. Like, first and foremost, the idea that the president of these United States of America is trivializing the office of president of these United States of America by having a back and forth with a rapper is whatever to me. But then the fact that this rapper, for saying that look, 50% of the country loves Donald Trump. 50% of the country hates Donald Trump with a burning passion. And for him to say, I'm kind of up for grabs on this one. I like Donald Trump. He was sort of my buddy beforehand, and I support him, and he's my boy. And then to have 50% of the country go, you're mentally ill, which they did, is a really unfortunate state of affairs. And then to have him threatened with gang violence for just saying, I'm expressing my right to like someone. It's just, I saw this and I was just like, the president is friends with a rapper. The rapper says he likes the president, and therefore gang members have put what is essentially a mob hit out on him. What the hell? Where are we at? What the hell happened? And it's one of those moments that makes you really want to keep your head down and go, this is so messed up. This is absolute insanity. This is the world that we live in right now. What are we supposed to do? Well, I'll tell you what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to ignore the noise. We're supposed to focus on the things that we can control. We're supposed to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. If we want change, we're supposed to be the change. And you feel like in these situations, there's massive and insurmountable odds to humanity. You look at it and you go, it's all completely dominated by incredibly rich, incredibly powerful people with massive amounts of celebrity. And then there's me, little old everyday regular me. How can I possibly affect the outcome of what happens in this country, let alone the world? Trust me on this one. You can. It's down to you. It's always down to you. It's your little sphere of influence. It's your way that you make your own place in this world. It's your decision to get up in the morning and treat other people a certain way and ask to be treated a certain way, regardless of the noise, regardless of what celebrities and politicians in power say. It's always going to be you. It will always be you. The choice falls to you. Never forget that. You have the ability to change your world and then the world around you just by going through it and being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And in times like this, it's very easy to lose track of that. Please don't ever lose track of that. All right, let's do some news now.
The yodeling Walmart kid has released his first song.
Oh, really? I would imagine you could find it on iTunes. I don't have a problem with him. Like, he's a really good singer, but to me, he's not a yodeler. He's just sort of like And he doesn't full on yodel. He just sort of sings in a country twangy sort of way. He's good though, incredibly talented. I don't have a problem with this. Good for him. Go on.
The Time's Up movement is now going after R. Kelly.
Oh, what were we saying yesterday? What were we saying?
We were saying that the Time's Up movement should go after R. Kelly. I'm going to give you credit for this one.
Well, I guess the Time's Up movement listens to this show and have taken our advice, because there's all sorts of wildly sketchy things about R. Kelly. Most of them to do with him having digestive experiences in the presence of underage females. That's the idea. So there you go. Yeah, Time's Up movement is going after R. Kelly, as we said they should on the show yesterday. Yep. Fittingly, they've made him public enemy number 1.
Yeah.
Go on.
The SpongeBob musical has received 12 Tony Award nominations.
It's amazing. It's one of those things that just absolutely defies reason. There's got to be one of the most successful pieces of media in the last 20 years, and it's going to be a talking sea sponge that lives at the bottom of the ocean and eats burgers for some reason. It's just, and then there's going to be movies made and a musical, and then the musical is going to receive 12 Tony Award nominations.
12 Tony Award nominations. Insane.
It will, it will definitely win in at least one category. Best musical to watch. Well, high out of your mind. Go on. One more piece. One more piece of news.
Invisibility, flying, and time travel have topped a list of superpowers that we would like to have.
Oh yeah. What superpower would you like to have out of those 3? Invisibility, flying, or time travel?
I think flying, and I'll tell you why. Invisibility, I'm afraid I would see people talking about me. Like, I would sneak up to do a joke or something, and people would be talking crap about me, and then I would hate them. The time travel, it doesn't do too much for me. I want to fly.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Although, I'm a little surprised there weren't votes for more mundane yet equally as interesting superpowers, like, you know what I would like? I would like the ability to always put the USB thing in the right side up on the first try. That's what I would like.
God, it drives me insane. It's the third try. It's always on the third try. Wrong way, right way. How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I always do this. I always put it in the wrong way and then switch it to a different USB port. Like, that's going to make a difference. I'm like, darn it. Let me just try putting it upside down in a different one, because that'll make stupid is what that is.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away.
More AD on the radio.
You know, whether or not you care if people get offended by stuff that you say is up to you. And anyone who calls you out for the terms we're going to discuss a little later on in the show might be pushing it, but I thought it'd be interesting to discuss 4 everyday terms with wildly offensive origins. Things that I'm sure that you, me, all of us have said on a regular basis without realizing that they've got roots steeped deep in prejudice, racism, and other things that make people upset. What are these terms? Have you used one today? You might have, and we'll get into them a little later on in the show. Right now, though, Travis, what else is going on in the world?
The FDA is telling tobacco companies to stop using packaging that appeals to children.
Oh, Well, thankfully, big tobacco is the single most ethical industry in history, so I am sure they're going to listen. Do you remember they had to do away with Larry the Camel? Like, Camel cigarettes had that caricature, and that wasn't allowed anymore because like you're talking to a young fan base. It was like Spuds MacKenzie, I think, was not cool because wasn't Spuds MacKenzie a dog that was used to sell beer?
Yeah, he was I think he was the Budweiser dog, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah. But there was this whole thing where it's like, you can't use adorable dogs and camels to market cigarettes and beer to kids. That's not okay. What tobacco companies use packaging that appeals to children? Although, I think there is a whole big thing with vaping now because they've got all these, you can pancake, mocha, vanilla extract flavor, vape, whatever. Is it juice? I don't know. I've never vaped, obviously. But is it, what do they call it? Vape juice?
Yeah, I think it is called vape juice. And you hit the nail on the head with what they're talking about. They mentioned a few of the ones that they were concerned with. And their comparisons are actually really interesting. They compared one Mad Hit juice box to apple juice boxes. Vapehead's sour Smurf sauce to Warhead's candy. There's like a whole list. The one that really takes the cake is called Twirly Pop. They say, which not only resembles a unicorn pop lollipop, but it's also shipped with one. He's the FDA commissioner said, looking at these side-to-side comparisons is alarming.
Yeah, well, I don't know. When I smell blue raspberry, that smells an awful lot like Slush Puppy's taste, it makes me go, this is definitely aimed at children, and that's not okay. So there's that. But I'm trying to think of any sort of like tobacco packaging that's aimed at kids. But I don't know. I don't pay attention to tobacco packaging.
No, I don't either. But I think you're right. I think the main concern right now is the e-cigs.
What else?
Facebook is launching a new dating feature.
Right. Yeah. It's supposed to sort of turn Facebook into, well, a dating website. And, there's some things that I've always been surprised that Facebook hasn't done. This is one of them, just because there's obviously good money in the dating website business. The other thing that Facebook has never done is every single band on Earth must have a Facebook page. And do you remember MySpace? MySpace used to be the way bands and comedians would get noticed because you could post your audio clips if you happen to be a comedian, the way Dane Cook did on MySpace, and you could post your songs on MySpace if you were a band. It was a massive marketing tool for people in the audio business, and Facebook never had an equivalent. Facebook doesn't have an audio player. They've got videos to compete with YouTube, but they never had an audio player. So I was always surprised there was no built-in native audio player on Facebook for bands with Facebook pages. And I was also surprised that they never really had a dating feature on there, especially once I started seeing people sell stuff on Facebook. Like, you've got those, you don't spend much time on Facebook, Travis, but you can sell things on Facebook in much the same way that you can sell on Craigslist and stuff like that now.
The Facebook Marketplace or something like that? Is that right?
I think that's what they're calling it, the Facebook Marketplace. And you know what? I've never bought anything on there, but I've come close. I'm like, I kind of want, buying stuff off of people on Facebook is weird. Then they know who you are, where you do, then they can look at pictures of, there's our TV stand in their home. No thanks. That's just, that's a level of separation less than I would like between me and someone involved in a business transaction like that. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense. It's like the whole concept that you never sell a used vehicle to someone that you know, because like when they start having problems with the car, even though you may have sold it like under the best intentions possible, the car was running great when you got rid of it, but all of a sudden something happens, and then the person, you deal with the person all the time, and they're hitting you up and they're like, hey, you know what, I started having this problem with the car, and I started having this problem. That's why you don't sell vehicles to people that you know. I can't imagine selling somebody a TV on Facebook. Now they have your Facebook profile, and they're going to tell you everything that's going wrong with the TV.
So for a while there, and I may do this, I may not do this, but I had a fantasy of buying a fun car. When I was a kid, all I wanted was a 1982 Corvette Stingray. That's all I wanted. And as it turns out, my dreams are not all that tough to attain when it comes to like fulfilling my childhood fantasy car, because you can pick one up for less than 10 grand. Not that I have 10 grand burning a hole in my pocket, but if I wanted to buy one, I could. And a buddy of mine is a huge car enthusiast, and I mentioned this to him, And he was like, oh, I'll help you find one now. Let's go on Facebook. And we were cruising through 1982 Corvette Stingrays on Facebook. And he was like, ooh, here's a nice looking one. And then he was like, ooh, here's a nice looking one. And the chick selling it is hot. Maybe I'll go check this one out for you. And I was like, there it is. That's why you don't want to sell anything on Facebook. Because people like my idiot creeper friend are going to try and hit on you rather than buy your car. So it seemed like a wildly bad idea. That said, Facebook now wants you to love them again, so I guess they're banking on the fact that if they find you an actual person to love, some of that affection will transfer over to them. Facebook has announced a brand new feature that will basically turn Facebook into a dating site. You're going to be able to opt into the service and turn your current profile into a dating profile, and then they're going to find you potentially good matches with other single people who you aren't already friends with. And ironically, Facebook's complete disregard for our security and privacy might actually make this dating site more secure than the other one. Since they already know so much about you, it could be a lot harder to fake things on their dating site than it is on other dating sites out there. Plus, if you ever wanted a Russian boyfriend or girlfriend, your chances of getting one just went way the hell up. So Facebook says the new feature is launching soon, but in the meantime, it's bad news for the other dating sites out there. Match.com and its parent company both had massive drops in their stock prices after the announcement the other day.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So, there's a bunch of these terms that you probably use every single day, terms that you thought were completely harmless, terms that you never would have imagined would be offensive to anyone, but they've got wildly offensive origins. What are they? Well, look, like we were saying before, whether or not you care if people get offended by stuff you say is up to you, and anybody who calls you out for these terms might be pushing it just a little bit, but we'll discuss exactly what they are and who they were aimed at when they first became a thing a little later on in the show. Right now, though, I got to tell you, Travis, I saw this happen 2 different times recently, and I really appreciated it when I went to shows. One was a band. The other one was a comedian. And you know what I saw them do or not do?
I do not, sir.
No encore.
Oh, my God. I love it.
There's this band called Nothing More who are actually from Texas. They play the Texas Buzz, that show that I used to do out at Scout Bar in Houston for those people listening on KPRC in Houston. They played the Texas Buzz for like a decade. And then we finally sort of got them to the point where record labels took notice, and they're a massive hometown success story. They're the best. They're one of the best live bands on the face of the planet. If you ever get a chance to see Nothing More play live, take it. They're one of those bands where you see them and you feel bad for anyone that has to go on before them or follow them, because just like, what's the point? They're so good. And they were nominated for Grammys. It was a complete rags to riches story brought about by a decade plus of exceptionally hard work on their part of becoming the baddest band in the land. But I saw them play recently, and they did this thing where they were like, okay, here's the deal. We don't believe in encores. We don't believe in saying that we're going to go now and pretending like we're going and fake coming back when you guys are loud enough. We kind of think that's garbage. So what we're going to tell you now is this. This will be our last song, and we want everything left that you've got, because we're going to give it everything that we've got. And I was like, so much better than a fake encore. It was good. And you know who else? You know who else didn't do an encore?
Can I make a random guess? Because I think I know it.
Sure.
Jerry Seinfeld.
Did not do an encore.
Yes.
He closed with, just an epic closer that had the house in hysterics, and realized there was no topping that, and came back on stage, took a bow, and left. There was no encore. Well, no, he didn't even leave the stage and come back for a curtain call. He brought out his opening act. That's what he did. He brought out his opening act, and they took a bow together, and then he just left. And everybody knew it was over. They turned the lights up, they turned the music on, and everybody knew to just get the hell out. And it was so much better that way. It felt so much more honest. Like, when I was in a band, we used to do encores, but we would only do encores if we felt like people really wanted them. You know, we'd have our closer song, and an encore was a treat for us if we'd done a good enough job, because we would get to the end of our set, and if people really wanted more, we'd go out and play more. But we'd never go like, here's our fake exit moment. If they didn't want us back, we didn't go back, and we were very strict about that. You know, so I suppose that's probably the most authentic way to do that sort of thing. But after seeing two people bring the house down and not do an encore, or two different acts not do an encore and bring the house down, I am all for it.
I don't like encores. They're insincere. I don't like them. They're fake. I went and I saw Aerosmith in concert about 3-4 years ago, and they were great, by the way. They were fantastic. But they didn't play their best song. They didn't play Dream On. And then they walked off stage. And the whole audience had to stand on their feet clapping for 15 minutes before Aerosmith came back out and finished their job. You know you're going to play Dream On. I know you're playing. The whole arena knows you're playing Dream On. Let's cut the dance, Steven Tyler. I got a babysitter who needs to be home by 11. Can we? You owe me Dream On. Entertainment's the only profession that does it. You don't see your accountant like, well, here are most of your taxes. Good night. You didn't finish. Well, let's see how loud you can get it out there. Maybe I'll come back. Just not feeling it right now. I am not feeling it. They got to stand out there with their cell phones. Come on, Irv. Close with the
refund. The great Kevin James. Sweet vindication. All right. Let's you and I finish up what remains of the news before we discuss offensive terms that you use every single day without realizing it.
Dallas strip club patrons have been arriving 10 hours early to see Stormy Daniels dance.
10 hours early. I come from a digital generation where I never had to. I hear that was part of the whole thing back in the day when we were kids before we started going to concerts. And I went to concerts young, but I heard like camping out for tickets was a thing. Do you ever hear about people doing this? Like, we're camping out for Aerosmith tickets, coincidentally enough. Like, getting the tickets used to be a big part of going to the concert. It was sort of like you go, you purchase the tickets, you almost have this tailgating type of event while you're going to buy the tickets, and then that helps build the whole anticipation before you go. It's like, you know, people got bored of standing in line outside sporting events, so they just decided to hook up a barbecue, and that became an event. It's sort of like the preamble to it, but we don't have that. You know, I come from the digital age where I think every set of concert tickets I ever purchased was either over the phone or on a computer. So I've never waited in line for anything. I just knew I had a ticket and I was getting in. Like, have you ever done that? Ever camped out for anything?
I have, and it was concert tickets, and I'm trying to remember for the life of me. I remember it was in Utah, and I want to say it was either Bare Naked Ladies or Blink-182. Wow. It had to be one of those two. I know. And I remember, like, there was some deal, like, I'm trying to remember what the deal was. I think it was some weird Utah thing that, like, you could get some sort of wristbands or something, and it would let you not have to wait in line or something. I can't remember what the deal was. They had some sort of weird deal, but I remember, like, we went down at, like, I want to say tickets went on sale at like 10 a.m. or something, and we went down to Smith's, which was like it's owned by Kroger now. It's like the Kroger. We went down to Smith's and waited at Smith's for like 4 or 5 hours for the convenience booth to open. And I remember we were so stoked because we were the first ones there, and like we got great seats, whatever it was. But it was such a great situation because like I had never bought concert tickets before, and so to actually go down and get them, and I remember like we got like we were in the very first few rows, and it was just awesome. I mean, it was such a great experience. And I remember, like, we were like, oh my God, I hope this lady's quick with the computer, you know, because she was trying to get him on the computer, and she's like, oh, I got you some. We're like, oh my God, we were so stoked. So yeah, I've done it. It was amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun experience. I just remember, like, I think I ordered tickets over the phone for concerts and stuff back in the day. Like, excuse me, do you have any Rage Against the Machine tickets, please? Yes. Could I pay with them for a credit card, please? Yes. Is your mommy or daddy there? Yeah, she's here. Like, so I'd have to, like, do the order, because my mom refused to sit through it, and then, like, I had to give my mom the money right after she paid for them with a credit card over the phone. Like, that was the whole ethic when I was growing up in England of buying tickets. So it was like phone, and then it was internet pretty quickly afterwards. But people have been standing in line outside strip clubs in Dallas, arriving 10 hours early to see Stormy Daniels dance. So the next time you feel like things aren't going your way, remember, you never once arrived 10 hours early to watch an aging, worn out porn star take off her clothes. And in that way, you are winning. A couple more pieces of news, and then let's talk about offensive terms we didn't know were offensive.
All right, a large great white shark has recently been spotted off of Florida.
Never seen such terrifying, gnarled, toothed eating machines, said the shark.
AD with a zinger.
I think that's being generous on your part. I don't think that quite zinged, but it was a fair attempt. All right, what time? How much time do we have left, Travis?
About 4 minutes. Should we get into the thing with the deal and the thing?
Yeah, let's get into the thing with the deal and the thing and the thing. So there's a very good chance that you use terms every single day. There's one that blew my mind. And I've tried to think about how it could be okay to do this on the radio, and I couldn't. I just couldn't.
Oh, no.
But there is one with, maybe we'll do like, no, there's no way to get away with it.
I'll do it.
Yeah. All right, let's just deal with these ones, which are considerably safer. But a big part of the reason that I will never use the gay slur that is most commonly bandied around, the one that rhymes with the name of the most hilarious comedian of all time, Bob Saget.
Yeah.
There's a reason I will never use that, and it has to do with burning homosexuals at the stake.
Oh, God.
Just look it up. And once you find this out, you will erase that word from your vocabulary immediately, if not sooner. It's there's that. But anyways, whether or not you care, if people get offended by stuff you say, is up to you. And anyone who calls you out for these terms today might be pushing it a little bit. But here are a bunch of everyday terms that you probably didn't know had offensive origins. Travis, if I ask you to do something and you can't do it, what would you say? Perhaps no can do?
No can do, yeah.
What about if you hadn't seen someone in a long time, what would you say?
Long time no see?
Yeah. Okay. So both hideously offensive, as it turns out.
What?
No can do, long time no see. Yeah, not so much. No can do is sort of a folksy way today of saying that you're unable to do something. However, back in the 1800s, it was a way of making fun of Chinese people who spoke in broken English.
Oh, that's not good.
And what's the other one? If you haven't seen someone in a while, how does that go?
Long time no see?
Yeah, that's offensive to your people, Travis.
The Indians?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Travis, in case you did not know, is Cherokee, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so long time no see. Basically like the last one, but it was a way of imitating how Native Americans spoke English.
Oh.
I know.
That sucks.
Yeah. Then there's paddy wagon.
How?
If you get arrested, you get taken away in a paddy wagon. Are you aware of why this might be offensive to some people?
No, I don't have a clue. Hang on. Does it have something to do with... My only guess is it has something to do with the Irish.
Yeah. So the name Paddy used to be short for Patrick, and it was also used as a derogatory term for Irish people. And the idea of the Irish cop back in the day was sort of like, I guess it was Irish police officers. This was sort of like a cliche. So a paddy wagon was basically connected to police vehicles because cops back then were commonly of Irish descent, and it was sort of a derogatory term for Irish people. And finally, if someone kind of cheats you out of something, what do you say? Or if something's a ripoff, what do you say?
I can't think of I know exactly what it is, but I can't think of it.
Gypped. Do you know this one?
Yeah, I don't know it.
Yeah.
But I assume it's very bad.
Well, gypped as in being cheated out of something. Like you buy something, it doesn't work. You go, what a gyp, man. And it's something that people say all the time, but it's offensive to some folks because it furthers the stereotype that gypsies are dishonest thieves. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Things that there's a very good chance you say every single day that began with unbelievably offensive origins back in the day. Now you know.